Hi, I'm Sarah Noyes. I wanted to tell you about this story of my family recently because I think it's very important to talk about it. This happens to many families going on right now. So to start off, my cousin passed away a couple of days ago from a heroin overdose. He was 30 years old. He was found by a family member in their house when he was visiting. He was revived only to find out that he was completely brain dead. He was in the hospital with in a coma for a couple of days and finally passed away a couple of nights ago. To go back, he was a great cousin when we were little. We played together all the time. I kind of looked up to him like a big brother. He had a lot of siblings. I would play with all of them. We lived near each other for a while as kids, and we played together all the time. Then, when they got a little bit older, they all moved away, and we weren't as close as we were when we were kids. We didn't see each other very often. And my cousin became addicted to drugs. He did some experimentation with drugs. I don't actually really know because I didn't have a lot to do with him in his drug years. I don't actually know how many drugs he was into. I would guess he probably at least tried them all. But he did overdose on heroin, so I know he was a heroin addict at least. When he got older and as an adult, he would start to steal from family and friends and, in order to buy more drugs. Family members would start telling him, if you want to come visit, you can't be high, you can't have drugs anywhere on you, you can't be around that, we have kids around, you can't be on drugs. He has 2 beautiful kids with his ex. They're in elementary school right now, so they're a little older. Obviously, they're going to have a hard time with his death. They didn't get to see him very often because of his drug use and problems with the law. He's been in jail several times. I think he's OD'd before. He tried to commit suicide at least once. I think he was a very depressed person. And of course, drugs only enhance that. It doesn't make things better. Maybe it makes you feel like you're better at that moment, but, over time it takes a toll on your mind and your body. Many family members have tried to help him, and, you can't help someone that doesn't want to be helped. Ultimately, he didn't want to be helped, and so, as a result, he shut a lot of family members out, including siblings that tried to help him, and he didn't want the help. He wanted that high. Sorry, I just don't want to leave anything out. So basically, he was I can't say he was a bad person. He was a good person when he was sober. The drugs take over, and, people think, oh, you stole from family, and, you went to jail and you did all these bad things, but it sounds like an excuse, but the drugs really take over your body and make you do these bad things, and you will do anything to get that high. And, when you're sober, you're usually, maybe some people aren't good people, but, my cousin was a good person when he was sober. He would never steal from people and would never, do bad things. He cared about family. It's sad. I wish we could have gotten to know each other better as adults. He was at my wedding in 2009, but that was it, and that was basically the last time I saw him. He never got to know my husband. He met him once at the wedding, and that was it. He never got a chance to meet my daughter. And as much as I loved him, obviously I didn't want my daughter around the drugs, and you never know when he would be sober or not. So, I just want to say to anyone who knows someone close to them that's doing drugs, or if you yourself are doing drugs, you need to seek help somehow. And sometimes it's not easy, sometimes people need an intervention, or, to be lied to and taken to a rehab or something, and sometimes it's harder than other times, depending on the person. This not only ends that person's life, but it ruins the lives of the family left on this earth with the pain of not being able to say goodbye to that person, not being able to ever see that person again. My cousin left behind parents, children, siblings, grandparents, cousins, etc. A whole family, some of them much older than him. He was only 30 years old. He had a lot of life left to live, but he is in a better place now, and he was very depressed, and I feel like even though he left everyone behind, that in the end this was almost a better thing for him, because he was not going to be happy. And I feel like, he tried to commit suicide before. He obviously wanted it to be over. He didn't want to feel pain anymore, which is why he was doing drugs all the time. So I feel like now he's probably much happier. Drugs, it's an addiction, and drugs take over, as I said, and he did some bad things when he was high, but sober he was a good person, living normally day to day like the rest of us. I hope that we can change this earth and be rid of drugs altogether. People think that it's fun to get high, but it ruins your life over time. Sometimes people take a drug once and die. It's not something to mess with. I've never tried drugs, and I will never try drugs. But even though I've never done them, I understand what it's like to lose someone on drugs, and I somewhat understand what it does to you, what it does to your body, and like my cousin, as a result of what it can do to your brain. And it can be over in a second. My cousin was a very goofy, funny person. everyone loved him. You know, when he was sober, he was a really great person to be around, and reminds me a lot of, you know, some other people in our family, and he was very fun and, I don't know, just overall a great person. And I guess that's all I wanted to say. Thank you guys for listening. This is a very hard time for my family right now. Everyone was very close to him. As I said, he was, you know, he died very young. Especially leaving his children behind was very difficult. So, thank you guys for listening. I really appreciate it. Bye.